Hey everybody, it's Adam with TPM Media. What's poppin' in Pattaya? It is the final week of June 2023 when I'm coming to you, and we are just about to move into July. Can you believe it is actually halfway through 2023 already? For most people, it's probably moved pretty fast, definitely for me. And as always, we've got a number of interesting stories for you this week, such as walking street ending street vendors. Really? In fact, in only a couple of days that's going to happen, and a naked British man who went wild and tore up his hotel room at a local Pattaya hotel. But before we get to that, first off, we'd like to tell you the events that are taking place over the next few days and the weekend, as always. So, first off, the Pattaya Beach Games, which, unsurprisingly, are taking place on Pattaya Beach around the central area and around Central Mall, are taking place over the next several days. In fact, all the way until the 9th of June. So if you like to go out and relax, have a drink, chill on the beach, and watch people play a variety of beach events, from football to volleyball to a variety of others, this is a place to be and will be running, as stated, for the next week. Now also, there is a fruit festival running until the 5th of July. This fruit festival is taking place at the front of Central Mall. So if you love fruit and you love to get fruity, that's where you need to go check out. There's also a drawing contest this weekend. If you like artwork, this is actually being done by a variety of artists, not just children from local schools, competing in a drawing and a painting contest, which will be taking place on the 2nd of July this weekend on Pattaya Beach, right again around the central areas. That tends to be the hub of where everybody hangs out and goes around. Now, we'd also like to say congratulations to one of our advertising partners, Janet Club, for their 1-year anniversary taking place on the 30th of June. They'll be going until very late. They'll be having a parade in front of their actual club. They'll be having all sorts of performers, DJs, fun, and events. Go check that out tonight, probably, when you're watching this video. Now, a little bit further away from Pattaya, but not that far away, about 30-40 minutes, depending on your driving speed, is the Bangsan Grand Prix. And this takes place right in the streets and roads of Bangsan. It's one of their biggest annual events, other than probably Songkran or New Year, and always attracts thousands of visitors. Now, yes, traffic will probably be very big for this, especially since many major roads that people would normally use to get to and from the beach are closed for the Grand Prix. But if you love street racing, you should go check that out. It will be running all weekend in Bangsan. As for July and the events coming up, probably the biggest one will be the Pattaya Marathon, which takes place every year in July. There's also, for the first time ever, the Fashion TV Model Awards, which will take place right on Pattaya Beach and have a variety of concerts and shops, and the Pattaya Culture Festival. This will take place mid-month in July and focus on traditional Thai culture. Many people say, oh, why are we having all these rap or hip-hop contests? And I want to see more traditional things. Well, wait, because you are going to have a great time at the Culture Festival in mid-July. Now, let's jump right into our stories. First off, the biggest national story is the Thai elections. Now, I know a lot of our regular viewers are sick and tired of hearing about politics, but it's important to remember that whoever gets into office and whoever is prime minister is going to set all the policies that are important to everyone, including our foreign readers. Some of those policies are things that may have been a thorn in your side for a long time, such as 90-day check-ins required for immigration, overall visa and tourism policies, whether or not cannabis will be decriminalized or will be recriminalized, whether or not Pattaya will be allowed to be a 24-hour city. That's also a proposal on there, or if closing times will remain somewhat conservative. All of those policies are up in the air as the new government forms. Now, the big step that's going to take is after this weekend, Parliament will meet for the first time on Monday, July 3rd, since forming the new government and since the new MPs were elected. They will then, probably the next day, the 4th of July, after formally opening Parliament, where His Majesty the King will open it, will elect, in theory, a speaker. And I say in theory because there's still a lot of dispute between the Move Forward Party, which won the most seats in the election in Parliament, and their coalition partners, Pheu Party, which won the second most seats, only by a few seats away. And they've been competing and debating over who will hold the House Speaker position. So that could be delayed a bit. They're supposed to meet Sunday to come to some sort of conclusion about it. Meanwhile, PETA, who is the head of the Move Forward Party and is seen as a very charismatic individual, but also has his own issues with people claiming that he should be disqualified due to inheriting media shares, will then hopefully run for prime minister. That prime minister vote could be as early as the 13th or 14th of July. But again, it's tough to say and depends a lot on these coalition partners and everything going back and forth. It's by no means a done deal that PETA will be the next prime minister of Thailand. It could really go a variety of directions. We don't speculate, but we'll continue to give you our analysis of the situation right here from TPM Media. Now, as for our walking street story that we brought up for you, starting from Monday, July 3rd, although there's a chance this may be postponed due to local vendors already protesting against the situation, they are removing vendors from Walking Street. Now, when we say vendors, most people think of street vendors and street food carts, but this also includes all the little alcohol vendors and, controversially, the many cannabis vendors that don't have their own licensed shop, like a real building shop, on Walking Street. Now, they have not stated the reason, they being Pattaya City, why they specifically are choosing to kick off all the street vendors. Some people are speculating they really want to get rid of the cannabis vendors, but that's just speculation. And they've certainly done this on a number of occasions before, citing traffic in general, food vendors tying up traffic, et cetera, et cetera. They've also claimed, although we haven't necessarily seen evidence for this lately, that many of the businesses that pay rent and pay regular licenses are upset about the businesses that just set up basically an illegal stall on the street. Regardless, supposedly from this Monday, those vendors will be told to all go away, at least from the main Walking Street. The last time they did this, some of y'all may remember, they removed everybody from Walking Street and they just moved into the side soys, which became so difficult for Soy 15, Soy Diamond, and the side soys because dozens of food vendors made it almost impossible to walk on those soys, and they relented a bit. We will see what actually happens in terms of this situation. Speaking of protests, there was also a big protest this week over the median on Tepperzit Road in Jomtien. Now, this construction work in median has been being installed over basically the last year and a half, maybe a bit longer, but local residents are fuming mad over this median, saying that it's hurting their business and causing problems. City Hall, meanwhile, has stated that the median was necessary because of the number of fatal accidents that have taken place on the street, and also people that just stop suddenly to try to cut over across traffic, making traffic worse. Now, instead, what Pattaya City has agreed to do is open more U-turns on the medians on Tepperzit Road, hoping that that will alleviate some of the issues business owners have. However, critics have stated that this won't really help the problem and the U-turns will be clogged up as well. What do you think? Tell us in comments or send us an email at editor@thepattayanews.com, and we'd like to hear what you have to say because it's definitely a big issue right now in the Pattaya area. As for our other story we brought up, a naked British man going wild at a hotel. Now, this took place at a popular hotel located in central Pattaya, whose name was withheld at their request, when the British man had been causing a scene, and after several calls from nearby hotel residents asking for the hotel to do something, they called police. The man was evidently going wild in his room. In fact, we'll cut in some footage here of the actual clips that our media team, which accompanied police, took of the man going wild. He not only set off a fire extinguisher in the room, tried to flood the room by flooding the sink, threw stuff all over the place. He was also completely naked, according to police, and it was unclear exactly what was going on. Now, police suspect, it probably doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure this out, that the man was on alcohol or drugs. However, they have not stated in particular what drugs or for sure if he tested positive, as after he was brought to the police station, the situation was not updated by police, and it's believed that he likely paid a high fine, probably to the hotel, for his behavior. Now, also speaking of bad behavior in the past week, the Bali High Skate Park, which is located just to the left of the main Bali High Pier and is really popular amongst Thai teenagers in particular, had its second major problem in basically 2 weeks. This was when a group of about 20 teenagers, after the Pattaya Festival last weekend, decided to meet together to deal with a dispute about a woman at the skateboard park. Unsurprisingly, the situation escalated from a verbal dispute to a physical dispute, with one young teenager who wasn't identified due to being a juvenile severely beaten and suffering serious injuries, having to be rushed to a local hospital. Unfortunately, this is the second situation that has happened at the skate park. It happened around midnight in the past 2 weeks in a very similar situation in which a group of teenagers decided to meet at the skate park and get into a large confrontation just 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, some critics and local residents are calling for the skate park to close at dusk, believing that by doing so, that will stop people from meeting there and stop problems. However, opponents of these critics have stated that closing the skate park early isn't really fixing the problem and penalizes everybody versus a small minority. Instead, they've suggested a permanent security guard at the park or even a stronger police presence at the area. Again, what do you think? What is the solution here? Again, many critics think that if they close the skate park, people will just go elsewhere to meet and fight, and that they need to get to the root cause of the problem rather than just immediately ban or cancel any place or anything that is causing problems. Last but not least, we always want to touch on a positive story before we let you go. Who wants a cookie? Really, who wants a cookie? Everybody wants a cookie, right? And last week, we had the pleasure, and they're not sponsored, they're not paying us. We're stating that because we want to make it clear that we also like to cover small local businesses and small local entrepreneurs here at the news to make you aware of them. So last week, a 17-year-old girl and her relative came to the Pattaya News office to tell us about their very small home-baked cookie business in Pattaya. Who wants a cookie? We'll link it here on the screen. You can find it on Facebook, though, just by searching for, believe it or not, Who Wants a Cookie, and it'll come right up. I have to say, I've tried a lot of food in Pattaya, and even though I may not look like it because I'm so skinny, but I have, and these are some of the most delicious chocolate chip homemade cookies I've ever had. And to quote her herself, they're made with love, personally made by them, and delivered throughout Pattaya, or you can pick up your choice. So, who wants a cookie? Why not go and grab one? Until next time, everybody, we wanted to thank you so much for tuning into TPM Media. We hope you have a safe and happy week ahead. Take care of yourselves and each other. AJ out.